What's up, guys? It's Sean Korea with Team Duty Destined here, bringing to you another deck profile. This time around, I'm bringing to you a top 32 deck profile with my buddy here, Neal. Neal participated in the past MomoCon Regional and did pretty well, playing Blue Flare. And then what did you end up placing in the tournament, Neal?
I got 27th place after the Swiss rounds were finished,
Hmm. Yeah.
so not too bad.
Yeah, no, Neil did pretty well. He was actually tearing house. Like, I think you were like what, like 5-0 at one point,
Yeah, I
some
was 4-0, and then some things
4-0.
happened, but I'll discuss as
Yeah,
what
no.
my.
Yeah, things happen, but absolutely tearing house. I was pretty impressed, especially since Blue Flare is, I guess, considered an out of meta pick per se. I know it won like one of the regionals, but I think it can come out with a lot of surprises. So, thanks for your time today, and I guess we can go ahead and get started with your deck. So, what do you got
Yeah,
for
for
us?
sure, for sure. Just some background information how I chose Blue Flare. The last couple sets, I typically play Crossheart. I played Crossheart for most of BT10. Played it at Nats. Got top 128 at Nats, couple rounds towards the end didn't go my way, but I was happy with my performance. But
Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah.
uh, yeah. When BT12 started, though, an issue I found with Crossart is a lot of these decks like Beelzemon, a Red Hybrid, and Hunters, they have a lot of effects that kind of blow up small guys. So a lot of your damage from Crossart comes from like the rookie rush mechanic and just having guys to do chip damage.
Right.
A lot of the current meta decks, I felt like Crossheart was kind of unfair because a lot of your damage was mitigated with all the effects now that blow up 4,000 or less. So I wanted a deck. I thought about playing Beelzemon, but since it's early season, I thought I'd have a little more fun. So I wanted a deck that countered Beelzemon. And during my testing, even though a lot of people don't think it's a very good deck right now, Blue Flare is actually a great pick against Beelzemon due
Mhm.
to the stunning effects, the Beelzemon, their EX2 Beelzemon be able to summon more imps to the field that trigger your blue flare effects, and
Mhm.
it was honestly a pretty unfavorable matchup for Beelzemon. I took it to a GFG tournament a couple weeks ago, got second in that, played a lot of Beelzemon, and the deck just pushed through. But
Mhm.
I'll go ahead and get started with the deck profile. Um, just four eggs, four Wanyamons. I experiment with a fifth egg, but it just wasn't worth it. You just want to play the four, maximize consistency. So that's pretty standard.
Mhm.
Um, Rookie lineup, I played 10 rookies, four Guilesmon. Nothing to explain there. A Blue Flare staple.
Blue
Uh,
Flare goat for sure.
yeah. You always want to see this card. It's
Mhm.
definitely one of the best cards in the deck next to Metal Greymon. For Dracomon, not a huge fan of this card, but because it has a blue flare name, I feel like you have to play it with your low rookie count and with all your searches. This is a rookie that you can pick up along the way as you're doing your Blazing searches and your Greymon searches. So this was pretty good.
Mhm.
And then the final two rookies is two Sayakamon. Sorry if the camera's getting a little blurry there, just the
Oh, so
bandwidth, but
yeah, it's all good.
hopefully everybody can see all right. These cards are pretty unique in their art, so I think we should be okay. But
Yeah, for sure.
at the GFG tournament, you probably could see on the Eggman side, I played four Madoki Betamons for Beelzemon, but the
Okay.
matchup was so good that I felt like I didn't really need it.
Damn, that's
Um,
crazy. That's wild.
Yeah, and a lot of times it will just get blown up. And this deck being a cross deck, you kind of want to just ram your rookies into security. So
Mhm.
it kind of felt awkward just sitting there, especially Beelzemon can kill it at will. So went with the two Sarakomons because Hunters, if they play correctly, Hunters is actually can be a hard matchup. But most of the Hunter players that I played against or playing in different locals against, they don't really respect the blue flare matchup, and a lot of times she can steal some wins. So two Sayako ones have been pretty good. Uh,
Yeah, that's a really good point about the Madoki thing. I felt like anytime I played a blue deck and just like try to keep my Madoki out, they would just pop it anyway. So I can see what you're saying with how it just doesn't make sense, or it's better to run like rushy rookies.
Yeah, yeah. There's so many just random popping effects in the meta that is just
It's
it looks good on
pointless.
paper, but it just doesn't end up working out.
Yeah.
On to the champions. Four male Bergemons,
Mm.
staple there. Four Greymons, another Blue Flare staple. These are pretty obvious to play because of the names and they're pretty good effects. Three Security Greymon. So I'm of the opinion that Blue Flare is actually not a very good deck in the Ultimate Cup format because I feel like without this card, stack decks or decks that can put on pressure without playing into your Blue Flare effects, you're not able to put enough offensive threat to your opponent. You just can't push enough damage without this card. So
Wow, that's
the
interesting. Yeah, I can totally see that. I feel like Greymon can be a vital part to your like speed.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. So a lot of decks like War Greymon and other stack decks. This card is really important to see in those matchups because if they're always sitting on one Digimon, it's really hard to push a lot of damage in certain matchups. So
Hmm.
when I was playing, testing the Ultimate Cup format, this deck just felt awful, even though you would think it would be a good pick. But
Yeah.
in my opinion, it's not that great.
Hmm.
And then for Deckermon or Deckertramon, I need this for play Decker Greymon, but it comes up. You summon off a Guile get some draws in, especially decks that go wide. You can dig for Death X or some of your techs. So this card,
Yep.
it's never really bad to see. Um, Bread and Butter, Metal Greymon, most important part card of the deck.
Hmm.
I'm not gonna go too much into that. You need to see that. For Decker Greymon. Um, This star card is kind of mid when you think about it, but it's really important to have in decks that try to play around your blue flare effects and also stack decks.
Hmm.
So many times in my testing against Beelzemon, after a while they realized they shouldn't be triggering their EX2 Beelzemon effects. That card is actually optional. So if they were to mill the EX2 Beelzemon effect, they can choose to not summon it Entmon. So in those situations where they have a big Beelzemon stack with Yamon inheritable and a lot of Millen inheritables, you need to see this to stun their stack to gain momentum in order to kill them. So also pretty important in the Black War and War Greymon matchups to just freeze it for a turn and just kind of get underneath because Black War Greymon X can only redirect the highest DP, I believe, or
Yeah.
highest cost.
Yep.
So you just freeze this, it sits out here, and then you swing with
Metal
Metal Greymons
Greymon.
or Rookies to do damage. So
Oh man, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yep.
so that's pretty good.
Hmm.
And then the finisher Z Greymon, mostly used as a finisher. Once a while, you'll put under a Decker Greymon stack for the blocking inheritable if you need to stay alive for a turn, but
Hmm.
most of the time, just used as a finisher. So the biggest change, last minute change added to the deck is this particular engine. I didn't play it in the GFG tournament, and honestly, when I first tested this engine, I really didn't like it. But I came to the conclusion to play the Neal, Kaiser Neal, and
Oh.
Secure, the
Oh my
Shyamon
god.
X7.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
spicy, man.
yeah.
Dang.
This was honestly. In my testing, I found that the Machine Dramon and lesser so the Black or Greymon matchup to be the most difficult matchup for
Yeah,
this
for
deck.
sure. Yeah, I can see that.
Uh, so unlike Cross Art, like against Machine Dramon, if they open fine with an analog man with the redirect, this
Hmm.
deck is not like Cross Art where you can go extremely wide and just kind of out damage and outpace the redirects where the
Uh-huh.
redirect doesn't matter. Blue Flare kind of has just one or two swings per turn.
Right.
So I found out that it's near impossible to beat that matchup without this engine. And I was really scared of Machine Dramon because I'm a player that I really don't like auto losses. Like I don't
Yeah.
want to have to sit down and just feel like, man, well, there it goes. I just lose. So I put this engine last minute. I say the second hardest matchup for this deck is Black or Greymon for a similar reason with the redirects.
Yeah.
Um, and this works out great. So during the tournament, I didn't play against any Shinramon or Black or Greymon, but it did come up against Beelzemon a couple of times where I froze them with the Decker Greymon, and I put this underneath.
Hmm.
And then with the additional memory I had, I just went ahead and Kaiser nailed and got rid of their Billsmon stack and kind of went from there. This
Man.
card is also good to use as a last resort because you can cross with it.
Hmm.
Um, and where you have no other play, sometimes you just cross for 8 memory, get rid of a big stack, and you have a chance to win the game. So it honestly overperformed, and I was happy with the choice. I don't know if I would continue playing it in EX4, but it worked out for what I needed.
Yeah, man. Ooh, I was gonna say it's not even EX4 yet, and you're doing that package. That's nuts.
Yeah, yeah. Honestly, like I said, in testing, I wasn't a big fan because against Red
Yeah, it's
Hybrid and certain other
good.
decks, you don't
Yeah.
really need this. But in your really bad matchups,
Yeah.
this card is pivotal.
Yeah, seems nasty, man. Oof. Love it.
Yeah, I caught a lot of people by surprise. They were
Yeah.
like, "What the?"
Love that. Death
Finally,
X.
the last Digimon, Death X. Just a tech for hunters. It doesn't auto win the hunters matchup, but it makes it awkward for them. Where the only way they can remove it is they have all the different color tamers. So they need the Watchman, the black tamer, the red tamer, and the purple tamer to get up to a level 7 to remove this. So
Right.
just a pretty annoying card. Played a couple times in other matchups, but I was never upset to see it. So pretty good. All right, rest of the vanilla stuff: four blazing, single ice wall, four Kiros, and two Taiki Nene Kiros. I'm not a big fan of this card, but when you play the superior mode engine, you want to get that card out of your hand. You don't want your hand to start clumping them up. So you can, it's a blue flare, so you can go ahead and tuck it underneath, draw a card, gain a memory.
Hmm.
And then when you go on your Decker Greymon play, play it underneath the tamer to the Decker Greymon, and you can Nail from there. So that's the only reason I played it. If I wasn't playing that package, I'll probably just play it just the four Kiaras and maybe two Sorais or something else.
Yeah, I feel like it could be nice hitting it out of security too. Just get a little extra memory gain and playmaking capabilities going.
For sure, for sure. I find that Blue Flare is a lot more inconsistent than Cross Art, so just having
Yeah.
the ability to filter some of your clunkier hands to
Right.
get you going, it's pretty good. So I was never
Nice.
mad to see this card, even though I'm not a huge fan of it.
I gotcha. Anything you change in the deck,
Yeah,
especially for like the upcoming EX4 format, like anything you got going on.
yeah. In the EX4 format, I kind of idea how to play the deck. I'm going to try the full combo version with the superior modes and the
Hmm.
Kuzamon.
Yes, that's
But
nasty.
a more standard version without that and more defensive options could work to it. It just kind of depends on how the meta goes. Because if we're not seeing a lot of big stack decks, then Blue Flare doesn't really need the superior mode.
Superior mode. Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. Makes sense. Nice. Awesome. Well, how about your tournament? How'd your tournament run go?
Okay, so yeah, going in, I was praying to see as much BOSM as possible. That's pretty much the
Yeah.
opposite of what other people want. But for
Yeah.
me, I was like, I felt like it was an 80-20 matchup. So
That's wild.
uh, round one, I played against a BOSM 2 Oded. It's funny in the BL's matchup, each of my BL's opponents play differently. Like Blue Flare makes them play really awkward and they're not sure what to do. So round one, he just went ahead and activated all his EX2 builds him on effects and just kind of swarmed the field to try to overwhelm me. But that just allowed me to kill him easier. So I won that 2-0. Round two was the same. Round three, he was my. Round two was another Beelzemon opponent, but he played the same way, and it was another 2-0. Round
Mm.
three, I played Beelzemon again. But this time, he purposely chose to play around the blue flare effects, and he kept his stack in Raisin. But that's also a detriment for Beelzemon because if they choose to play like that, they can't get as many mills off. So he
Right.
digivolved into level 5 Balmon and Raisin, and you know that card when you digivolve, you get the mill 3 and do crazy
Yeah,
stuff.
that's
And
kind of poverty and raising for sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, I was cool with that. So I just pretty much played a rookie rush strategy, and then won both of my games like that. He actually ended up top 16, and I was only his only loss. So
Oh
I know when
damn!
I
Wow,
talked to
props
him
to him.
later, he was excited not to see me in top 16 because he was worried about this matchup. But round four, I played against War Greymon. That was a 2-0. War Greymon is a lot easier to beat than Black War Greymon because the only way War Greymon really beats you is if they have a perfect stack with tie, Sec +1 Greymon, and Metal Greymon X for another security check. But if they don't have that, as long as you play around the raid, you're able to just kind of overwhelm them and just kill them. So that War Grey matchup is actually um, you wouldn't think it's a good matchup, but
Mhm.
it's really that deck you really need to have a perfect stack to do anything. I really don't think it's that great of a deck compared to Black or Greymon.
Yeah, I could see that too because you got armor purge, so it wouldn't pierce anything, right?
Yeah,
So
just play around the raid. The armor perch helps, and then you kind of just win from there.
yeah, makes sense.
Round five, I went against Hunters, and this is where I got my first match loss. Um, Game one was extremely close. I've been thinking about this match since it happened, and I think somewhere in game one, I may have misplayed because the game was so close. There was opportunity to use my level 4 Greymon to get a metal Greymon from trash,
Hmm.
but instead I used a search, and I think that came back to bite me, and I ended up losing game one. Won game two, and then game three, I just got behind on tempo. I opened without a rookie. I whipped on the Blaze Man boost, and I just kind of got out of tempo from there. So he also ended up top 16. I think he finished fifth in Swiss. So congrats to
Wow,
him.
that's wild. Dang.
And then round six, I went against Black or Greymon, and I pretty much just brick. Game one, I opened a mulligan, a hand where I had a lot of high level pieces, and then after my mulligan, I opened three red Greymon, a superior mode, and a Decker Greymon. I pretty much just all lost from there. And then game two, I lost a close game as well. But Black Greymon's a tough matchup, and you really need to have a good hand. And if you don't draw a good hand in that matchup, then it's really hard. So I end up losing that. And then round seven, I played against another Hunters. I won that 2-0. He didn't really play around my blue flare effects, and I was able to aggress him. Game one, he did a misplay with Death X, where he tried to swing with Superior Mode as his only Digimon, and he thought since he was turn player priority, his swing would go through for game. But the way the effect Q works, Death X will pop before it can swing for game. So that kind of just
Yikes.
that,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yikes.
that kind of just that went downward spiral for him. In game two, it was just a blowout because I think game one it really affected his psyche. But yeah, finished top 32. Fun experience. I was hoping for a top 16, but I'm confident that I'll get my invite in the next couple ones. So I'm not too worried about missing out top 16 on this one. But
Yeah,
glad
man.
to show out on Blue Flare. I was the only Blue Flare in top tables. The top tables were pretty meta. Blackwell Greymon, Red Hybrid, things like that, BL's Hunters.
Right.
But I'm glad that my testing worked out, and it turns out to be a good meta choice and a Beelzemon heavy meta field.
Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah, no, I was happy to see you cooking up a storm of blue flare up there. I was definitely rooting for you the whole step of the way.
Yeah,
And yeah,
appreciate
no,
it.
I'm sure you'll get your invite too. You're a good player, so. But hey, man, thanks for your time. I appreciate you showing everybody your deck here, and maybe I'll catch you around with some blue flare tops in the future.
Yeah, and appreciate it, Sean. And just one shout out to the other Sean Trend.
Yeah, yeah.
He was forced to go against Blue Flare like 100 times with his Beelzemon and Hunter's deck, so I know he can't wait for me to put this deck down. But without him and that testing, I wouldn't have got as far as I did. So shout out to him.
Yeah, Sean's a homie. Sean's a homie. All right, well, all right. Thanks, Neil, and yeah, hope you have a good one. Peace.
All right, thanks.